It's the CorradoLark, 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 Knitcast podcast channel. Yeah. Hi, y'all, and welcome back to the CorradoLark Knitcast podcast channel. Resting knit face. Anyway, thanks for joining me again on this lovely episode of the CorradoLark Knitcast podcast channel. I'm CorradoLark, your host of the CorradoLark Knitcast podcast channel, and you can find me as CorradoLark on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can find my designs on Ravelry, and you can email me at corradolark@gmail.com, and you can like and subscribe and all that nonsense. I'm really saying that today because today is very special. I decided it's time for me to do a traditional podcast again. Where's my coffee? Found it. It's in my Company mug. If you don't know Company, it's one of my favorite musicals of all time. I saw the 2007 revival with Raul Esparza. This is the first time I'm talking today. It's early morning, and it's raining out. I love rainy days. So I decided to use my Company mug today, and since it's smaller than my usual mug, and it's gonna be a traditional podcast for y'all today, I have so much to talk about. So we're gonna just jump right in with my Hamilton Beach iced coffee maker. Ooh, I love this thing. I pretty much drink a pot and a half of coffee a day. No, I drink a pot of coffee every day and a half-ish. I like iced coffee, okay? So I use this all the time. My former roommates who I used to live in this apartment with got it for me. For my birthday last year, the year before, some of those years. And, I even brought the coffee over, because that's what we do as knitting podcasters, right? We talk about coffee and things that we're drinking and such, yeah. So this is Venizelos, world's best coffee. It is Greek style, it is stone ground. Let me see if I can show you. You can get a look in there. You see how like super fine and powdery it is? It smells so good. I got it at the Mediterranean market down the street. The joys of living in Astoria is there's so much good. Greek food and specialty items and things that anywhere else in the world, other than probably Greece, would be really expensive are actually pretty dang cheap here. So I picked that up the other day when I was out of coffee, and I'm really loving it. There are so many options of different kinds of coffee out here that you don't get anywhere else. I just took a shower, so my hair's a little wet, and it's gonna do what it wants to do because I have things to put on my head today too. Anyway, as I've said, this is gonna be a traditional podcast setup. I'm not gonna like go through things super linearly, but I did write out some notes. Wow, I know, moving up in the world here. So I have my notes. I'm gonna go through some things I talked to you about right here. And I think the first things first, I'm going to jump into my latest design pattern release. That is giving you cake. I'm giving you layers, I'm giving you brioche, I'm giving you stranded color work. Cake. So here's the pattern. Here's what it knits up like. You can actually, I've teased this for a while now because I've had this done for a bit, but it's been secret. I have teased this. Gotta get my gleaner out. Oh, I got a gleaner too. I should have brought that in. It's over here somewhere. So, I've had this for a while, and it's in my promo, in my introduction video. What do you call that? It's like, you know, when the Golden Girls, when they have, thank you for being a friend, travel down the road and back again. It's like that in the beginning of this video, where it's like the CorradoLark theme song, intro video. It's in there at the end. Anyway, this is knit out of Hedgehog Skinny Singles, and I designed it for Karen at Do You Knit for her yarn crawl this weekend, which is April 19th to the 22nd. out in Westfield, New Jersey. If you haven't been to her store or seen the yarn that she has beautiful yarn in that store. I'm actually going to be going to the yarn crawl this Sunday, the 22nd. I'll be going there with Alex Creates because he's having a trunk show there that day. We're gonna meet up and head on out. I'm gonna get to him a little bit later. He's on the list. But here's the design. For this design, I started off, there's a border. Border. I'm not gonna say exactly what's not going on because it's a paid for pattern. And it's stranded colorwork, really simple, easily, it's an easy TV knit, even though it may not look it because it's like extravagant. This is actually the right side up. And there's brioche. My favorite row of brioche is right down here because it's not your standard brioche. The other ones are a little more standard. I have the little changey one there that I did in the brioche and marl cowl. And I had never worked with hedgehog before. It's incredible. I mean, beyond. I've actually, I didn't bring it out here, but I started a hat with the remaining yarn. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough, but I figured I might as well see if I can get a matching hat out of it, which would be really cool. Oh, I love, and I'm looking into the camera, I'm looking into the screen, not into the camera. And you actually get to see my technique that I used in this, where I play with color dominance. You'll notice there are a few rows that are going to appear a little more green than the rows that appear more white. There is a trick to that. I write about it in the pattern, and I would love for anyone to knit this. I did test knit this, obviously, at a few test knitters. They all did amazing jobs, and they all were really kind with their words about the pattern. They said it was really easy, and for being like a complicated sort of technique, and a lot of my testers hadn't done some of these techniques before. They said I wrote it out really easily so they could understand it. Oh goodness, so I'm gonna put it on for you. Now, when I designed it, I designed it to just be worn like this, you know, kind of just normal, like a cowl around your neck, kind of like, you know, the brioche marl cowl, you just throw it down and you're good. This one, you can just throw it on and you're good, absolutely. But I think because I had like, you know, a month and a half from after I designed it to now when people know about it, or from when I designed it and now people can get the pattern, I mean, not know about it, like who am I? I realized that you can play around with this, with the shape, like you can wear it like this where you show off the inside, which is amazing. The strands in this, I'm going to show you in a second, it looks just like, it's beautiful, just beautiful. You can wear it on the outside. So you have it like this, or one of my testers, I know she wears hers like this. So like the top is folded on the inside. It's such a flexible cowl. And then, now I'm going to show you the magic. And if you see my Instagram, I posted, you know, and on the page, I do have a picture of it worn like this, but look at it inside out. This is reversible. That's just stranding and brioche on the inside, like from what it looks like that way. And so you can wear it inside out, and it looks just as cool. I will say for the inside out version, I've been wearing it folded, and that's how when I got photographed, that's how you know, one of the pictures I did like this, and I just fold the borders in, and you are good to go. Hedgehog smells really good. I gotta say that about it. Like, anytime I wear it, I can full on smell the woolliness. For a single, it's super strong. Like, you can feel the weight of however they do twist it or spin it. It is a beautiful project. If you haven't used hedgehog, you have to use hedgehog. And preferably, you can just go buy it from Do You Knit, because she has the whole wall of hedgehog, which I'm sure you know or have seen. I used the colors Ferrum and Pine to make this. But I have a test knitter that did the main color in pink and then the other color in white. That came out really beautiful. I had 2 testers that did blue, one with blue and a variegated yarn, which also is incredible. And then Lubna also did one in peach, which is really cool. So there's the Giving You Cake cowl. Please buy the pattern. It'd be really cool if you did. Yeah, it helps support my work. See, I don't do these long form podcasts as much because I think I come off a little like arrogant. And I don't mean to come off arrogant, and I'm not really arrogant. It's just my brand of humor. And sometimes I think it just comes off a little odd. So, I'm gonna start doing them, I think. What do you think? Do I come off too arrogant? Let me know. Okay, so, next thing's next, which is the truth about things that are next. They are next. A couple of days ago, I was looking through my stash, because I just, I've been doing, you'll see, a lot of my projects are in fingering or light fingering, and I do have one project in Aran. But I was just like, I want a hat. I don't have a hat on the needles right now. I just want to bust out a hat. And you know me, I just can't stop designing things at this point. So it took me a few days, but I have designed a new hat, which I haven't shown anywhere. This is the first time anyone's seeing it. And it is in Shirsty Cat Designs yarn. Let's see, is that gonna blow out like crazy? Yeah, it is. Let me see if I can just tap. Okay, you can kind of see it, and pretty much not. So, Shirsty Cat Designs by Kelly Straub. It's in their bulky superwash, 100%, 137 yards and 100 grams in one of my favorite colorways. If you saw the Stitches United podcast, bees. So I ended up using it for the hat that I made. I will say here we go, in the hank. Now, hank and skein and ball and all these terms for yarn, I don't know, for me they're a little interchangeable. I did look them up before this podcast, so I knew what I would say correctly. I still didn't, so there's that. So I'm gonna call it a skank? No, that's bad. Hain. Like Hein, the band, isn't that their name? So I used the Hein of Shirsty Cat Designs, and I knit what I'm calling the Twisted Shirsty Hat. I wrote up the pattern. It is all set to go. I'm looking to get this test knit. So if you want to test knit this hat, and you just saw it here, and it's, relatively, after I post this podcast, message me. I would be glad to send you the pattern, and we can talk about testing it. So, here it is, the Twisted Shirsty Hat. It is going to get a little blown out because there is some white in this. I've been using a lot of white and cream, I've noticed. Actually, not really. Some of them are. It's this beautiful speckled yarn. It's almost, yeah, it's definitely speckled. And if you can see, it is a cabled pattern. Very small, easy cables. I'm writing out the instructions so that you do this without a cable needle. If you haven't done that technique, this is a perfect project to do that with, because, the repeats are, it repeats pretty frequently, and with a cable needle, it's just gonna be a little fussy. Without it, it'll be pretty easy. I also did a really fun ribbon. I don't know if you can tell there, but if you look, there's something special going on there too. So, this is actually technically still blocking, and I made a pom-pom. So it will have a pom-pom. How cute is that? You know me and my oversized hats. I love them. I love a good slouchy oversized hat. So I'm getting jobs coming in. We're gonna talk about that in a bit too. Oh my gosh. Ooh, well that's good. an actual job that I can actually work. I'm getting background jobs emailed to me at the moment, so I'm gonna slide that up. So here we are, Twisted Shirsty. Look how slouchy that is. I love it. Again, it's in a bulky yarn, which I don't often use. I'm gonna get a little close to the camera so you can really see it. And in the pattern, I've also written it so that you can either keep the brim like I have it, where you don't fold it, or you can have a longer brim that's folded and not do the pom-pom. So I give you the option of what to do there. I haven't worn it really yet, except I did notice when I was playing around with it earlier, I like folding this side up just around my ears. I fold that up even with this, you know, with the solid brim. I'm just liking wearing it like that. So it is super soft and super nice, and I'm gonna be wearing this a whole lot since the weather seems to not be warming up yet, and it's April. So there's my, this is the Twisted Shirsty hat for Kelly. I did message her a picture. She said it was really cool. We're gonna talk about it a little bit, see, you know, who knows what's going on there. But I wanted to share it with y'all. And this really fun pom-pom. I actually blocked this pom-pom, like I threw it in the water and I just hung it. And I noticed, like, look how much it fuzzes out when you do that. You probably know this. I don't, because if you notice, I don't often do pom-poms either. I don't often do bulky, I don't often do pom-poms. Who am I? I do like twisting stitches, so there's that. That's definitely my wheelhouse. But it's really nice and fuzzy and made a really fun pom-pom. So I'm actually gonna lay this out a little bit more because it is still drying. But there we are, the Twisted Shirsty hat. I'm loving it. I loved working with the yarn. But oh, as I was saying, in the oh god, I'm gonna do this every time. In the skank, no, the hank, no. The hane. It's a horrible name, I can barely remember it. In the hane, the yarn looked much, not as, the black didn't show up as much as it does when you knit with it, which I was so happy that it did. It was a little, like, it almost looked muted when you had it, like, you know, haned up. But once you started knitting with it, you went, oh, there is a lot of black in this, which is really, really cool. So I will say that, and that's probably true for a lot of her yarns. When I was looking through, I even noticed that, you know, there's a lot of speck leg, and there's so many colors that she uses. Her color choices are really cool and really unique, I'd say. But they did look a little, like, on the muted side. But I can guarantee once you start knitting up with it, it won't be as muted. It'll be like this. It's almost like a neon camo. Super cool. Okay, I'm gonna lay that down nicely over there. Laid. Okay, next thing I'm gonna talk about, I'm actually not gonna show you these because they are still all blocking. You may have seen my video about the baby hats that I made. The Aran Weight Feels Like Butter yarn from Lion Brand baby hats. I absolutely adore them, and my mom really loves them, and you know, even her coworker who I was knitting for the twins, she really liked them. This all said. So when I went about this project, it was my first real, like, commission. I did the sample, which is the gray one, and I sent a picture and I was like, hey, you know, this is what it is, you know, this is what I came up with. I really love the yarn. It is an Aran weight, so it is a little thicker, and these babies are being born in like a couple of weeks, so, you know, I feel a little weird doing this for newborns at this weight, but, you know, I would gladly and happily knit them like a 6 to 12 month hat so they can wear it in the fall. I think that, you know, I think that's kind of standard for what people would do in this situation. But my mom and the coworker assured me that, you know, no, we love them, just do them, it'll be great. So I did the twins hats, you know, the one in the blue, one in the like teal, and after I finished them both and was like, oh my god, I'm done, what do you think? They were like, we think that they're a little too thick for the babies to be born at this time of the year. Now you're gonna get my sassy face, sass. you know, I was a little upset by that just because I had spent so much time on designing it and working on them, and they are so adorable. I'm gonna insert pictures here. Or here. Or maybe later. So basically they were like, again, it's a commission, we'll pay you for those. We're gonna pay you to make 2 others for the twins. So I ended up using a different yarn, which I'll insert a picture of here, and I ended up doing 2 other twin baby hats with a little bit of like a Fair Isle sort of pattern I ended up working in. It's in a 90-10 cotton cashmere blend yarn, which was really beautiful to work with. I got it at Annie & Company needlepoint yarn knitting store. I never know their actual name. Annie & Company, I would just call it, on the Upper East Side. I got it a few days ago, and I knit them up. They were really quick. It's in sport weight, so it was a little finer yarn. They didn't want a folded brim, so it's not gonna have a folded brim. They're too adorable. So, I was a little frustrated because I had to knit I knit 5 baby hats in the past like week and a half. But in the end, they came out really cute, and I am still really happy to be able to do the project for them. I'm saying this because upon doing that, now I kind of have a few designs for baby hats. I think I am going to write, I took notes, so I am going to write them up as patterns, and I'm going to probably combine them into one, like, this is what you can make for newborn baby hats. You have an Aran weight and a sport weight pattern. Even though they are slightly different, the patterns are kind of similar. They both have like the 2x2 rib, etc. So I think I am gonna write up the pattern. I am gonna release that pattern at some point. I'm gonna look for test knitters for that at some point. Twisted Shirsty is gonna be test knit first. But I will also start offering baby hat commissions. So if anyone wants, me to knit them the baby hats, I'll gladly do that. My prices are pretty reasonable. So let me know what you think if anyone wants that. Cool? Cool. Okay. Now I'm gonna get to whipping it out. Whipping, whips. Works in progress. First I'm gonna drink some coffee. Has really good coffee. So, I'm gonna start with my Leading Men Fiber Arts whip. I talked about it, in the Stitches United video as well, that I had gotten this yarn from Steve at Leading Men to design a cowl with. And upon not researching, it's a merino I always do that. Merino yak silk blend. And it's unbelievably gorgeous yarn. Really, really stunning. It's their new monologue base. I got 2 skeins of it. It's really, I was really, really pleased to find out that they were really generous. Hanes. So when I started off, my normal, I was thinking, okay, I'll just do my normal, this kind of shape design, which I love those kind of cowls, and I'm really happy to just like keep busting those out because there's so much you can do with just, a cowl that just like sits here, and they're, incredible. But since the Hanes were so generous, I decided I'm gonna make an infinity scarf out of it, which, means I start with like a provisional and, do something like that. When I got the yarn from Steve, I had gone to him with, design idea, and I am sticking to that, concept, conceptually at least. But I am going to make it an infinity scarf, which I think I'm also going to release when the pattern, this is a long time down the road here, but I am also going to have a scarf option in the pattern because it's going to be really easy to do that with what I'm doing. So I'm going to show you the yarn first. I mean, how beautiful are those, especially together. There's a little bit of this green in this. I think you can see that it's green in this one. I had a comment on the video when I showed it last that it looked almost black. It is definitely shiny green, and this beautiful gray with speckling and so upon doing some research with the yarn and working with it, it is a very, very light fingering weight yarn. And I have now decided that I was going to do an infinity scarf, and I had already told them that I was going to work with intarsia, so I'm definitely sticking to that, and I'm sticking to my pattern idea. So Steve, I hope you're not mad about this, but I am shifting the design a little bit, just based upon working with the yarn and swatching a little bit. So here's where I'm at. I'm gonna show you. This is where I'm at. This is 4 or 5 days of pretty solid knitting. I'm loving the yarn. It is taking me a long time just to get this far. And I will say how I'm writing the pattern. The beginning, you start off with really the hardest section, which is this, and then it will just get easier and easier from there for the rest of the scarf. Cowl, infinity scarf, cowl thing. Goodness. I'm using the working title Bobby for this pattern. Bobby is the lead character in Company, the musical, and Leading in Fiber Arts. They're all in the, you know, they're theater people too, so I know they'll get that. I'm gonna talk to them about that exactly, but I think that's the plan. And I mean, it's going to be one of my favorite things. I plan on having an infinity scarf that you wrap, you know, like it'll have a twist and you wrap it around here. Maybe a Mobius. I haven't gotten that far. But it is a joy to work with. If you see this yarn, or if you can find this yarn, it is so beautiful. I've never worked with really a yak yarn. I've never worked with yak at all. I've only worked with silk once or twice. But look at how this drapes. I'm on 2s, y'all. And I was a little, you know, when I started off with the 2s and when I was like testing it, I was like, it is a little bit of a tight gauge that I'm knitting this at, but look at how stretchy it is. When this blocks out, it blocks out, you know, really beautifully. So I'm really having fun with this pattern. This one is going to take me a while. I am on a deadline with this as well with them. Yeah, I'm working feverishly to get this thing off and running. But that's, you know, that's kind of where the Twisted Shirsty Hat came from, because I was like, whew, I am staring at this little tiny string and making it into fabric. I need something that I can just go with. So, beautiful, great, loving it. Bobby, the Bobby Infinity Scarf. It's really fun. Okay, so before I jumped into, well, I should say before I went to Stitches, I was kind of in a, like, I have some yarn left from Vogue that I bought. I haven't, you know, I don't have anything design-wise that I need to get done after I'd finished, you know, my Giving You Cake cowl. So I jumped into my first shawl design. It's been on hold for a little bit, but I figured by showing it to y'all, I'll get back into it. You may remember, I think I've shown this yarn off to y'all. I used these two incredible yarns. This is the Cosmopolitan colorway for Yushatita, which I picked up at Do You Knit at Vogue. And this is the Understory, or Undergrowth, I think Understory, La Bien Amie, that I picked up at the Stephen and Penelope booth. This is my first day at Vogue. I picked these two up. These are all I got that day. And so they're a little sentimental to me. And boy, do they smell beautiful. So, I'm actually pretty far into this shawl design. I do have a few sections left, and I have put it on hold, and there are some ends that I need to weave in, so I'm trying to organize that now before I show it to you. I should have done this before, but as you know, I don't do these long-form podcasts that often, so I totally had forgotten. Let me make sure I'm showing you the side I want to show you first. So here's where we are. Working title for this is Volcanion, and this is where I'm at with it. Ooh, look at that on camera. Dang. I mean, it is. I wanted a shawl kind of, you know, a little more masculine of a shawl designs. And how I figured I'd get that is by making it longer and not as long, or longer in width, not as long in depth, or length, or however you would say that. So like my point isn't that, you know, this is the biggest, geez, this is the widthiest part of the pattern. And it will get a little longer with the next couple of steps. I've written this pattern. This is actually, this is technically the wrong side, so it is a faded, sort of, it faded in a way, I'll say. And this is technically the right side where you have the stripes a little more predominant. It is a garter shawl with a little bit of a color work technique that I used the same sort of technique in the cowl, or Giving You Cake cowl. And I mean, it is going to be somewhat epic, I think, in the end. I am loving using the yarn. Again, these two, they're singles at 100% merino, and they are really strong. I like a strong single. I don't want a single that's like, you know, a little looser. Maybe that, you know, it'll make a beautiful product in the end, but the strength of this, even though it's a single, is incredible. Yeah, so I hope to work on this a little bit more. I do have to focus on my Leading Men Fiber Arts pattern, but, you know, as you can see, it is nice, thin, or, you know, it's not super, it doesn't go out to like here, you know, is what I'm trying to say. And it is one of my favorite things I think I've ever knit, or it will be once it is complete, because it's really fun to work on, and the fabric that it makes is really beautifully thin because it's fingering, and I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oh, I'm in love with this thing. So I will plan on, I hope to get this finished in a few months. Few months, I know, but I hope to get this finished at some point in the near future, and so it can be test knit by a few people, and we can release the shawl pattern. It'll be my first shawl pattern, yay! Look at that though, isn't it pretty? Isn't it pretty, y'all? What do you think? Comment below. Okay, I do have one more. Where is it? Where did I put it? Oh, it's all the way behind the camera. Look at my face. What do you think of it? I'm broken out. I'm having acne issues at the moment. I do want to show this one off. Actually, another Vogue yarn. Isn't that funny? I had to put this down for a while, and I'll tell you why. Or I did put this down for a while. But this is Asylum Fibers. The Clarity colorway. I picked this up from the Knitting Place booth at Vogue. It is a merino cashmere nylon blend for sock yarn. The color is incredible. Stephanie's really wonderful. We've been chatting a bit, and I hope to meet her actually tomorrow, because I'm trying to get to Knit at Night, which is hosted by Josh Bennett. We'll also talk about that in a bit. But I'm loving this yarn, and I'm showing this because I want to pick this back up too. Whew. Got a lot of whips, y'all. But the problem I had, so my mom picked this up for me at Vogue because she wants me to knit a pair of cashmere socks for her boss. I've knit one pair of socks before in like a worsted weight, so this is, you know, quite a leap for me to jump into, and I used like a very specific pattern for that. And this, I started off using the Hermione sock pattern, but with the gauge that I was getting, it was not meshing. It did not work with what I was trying to do. So here's where I got to, right? I got through my leg, here's my ribbing. Look how beautiful that knits up. Isn't it stunning? It's a beautiful yarn, and it feels so nice. Like, it's a perfect sock. She's a size 7 women's, so I think this will fit pretty nice. I didn't go too long on the leg, you know, I just wasn't into it. But what happened was I went to do my heel, I think it's a heel flap and gusset. That's how much I know about socks. And something happened with my little short row that it is not, something funky happened. And I think it's because I had to go down in stitch count, and I was trying to use the Hermione pattern still. and it messed up. I gotta say this about the Hermione pattern, the Hermione everyday sock pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Everyone gushes about it and loves it. I've really struggled with that pattern. I have not been able to really follow what it's saying well. Like, I've had to ask friends so many times, like, what are you trying to say here? I don't get it. And it makes me want to be a better pattern writer. Because, you know, if people really like that, that's great and they can understand it. I struggled with it. Doesn't mean anything, you know. I think it's a beautiful sock in the end, and I think if I knew a little bit more about sock making, it would make a little more sense. But, you know, we have to say, like, I use the sock pattern from Beaverbrook Farms in Connecticut, which, you know, is it's a printed out pattern that they sell a kit with, and it was written for DPNs, and I was able to convert it. I get to this pattern and I'm like, what's going on? So maybe that's me, but it was a little frustrating. So I think I am going to rip back to just where I made the flap, and then I'm gonna need someone to sit me down and show me how to do this. I think I have been looking at different sock recipes and such. I really do like the heel flap and gusset method. That's the other way I think I did that with the other pattern too. I do like the look of it, but yeah, it's a little upsetting. I'm a little upset by this. And maybe I shouldn't be using like the most, you know, beautiful cashmere yarn to knit my first like small pair of socks with. You know, maybe that wasn't the greatest idea, but in the end, I think the product will still be good because I'm just such a good knitter that I think it'll work out. Remember that whole arrogant thing that I was talking about? Anyway, that's this beautiful yarn. If you haven't gotten Asylum Fiberworks fibers, if you haven't gotten any Asylum, you need to get some Asylum because we're crazy and we need that stuff. Oh wait, I have one more whip. What? I forgot about that. Okay, here we go. So I've talked about this, or I've shared this on Instagram. The girls have shared this. I think it's Amanda and Judy. Hey. From 7th Floor Yarns. I met them at Stitches United, and they gave me, you know, a little sample there, and they were like, oh, we want to send you yarn. So what happened was I went home that day, and it was this beautiful little lemonade skein. You could see it on my Stitches United video. This little, you know, sample, like, you know, little, what do they call that? Mini. That was my first mini, so bear with me. You also may hear my heat in the background because I'm in an old Greek apartment and it likes to like psh, make that kind of noise. Bear with me there too. So I sent the girls, I had the lemonade scan, and then I had the Sprout DK that I had picked up there from Threads and You. And I put them together and I was like, look how beautiful this lemonade skein, that, you know, lemonade color and this like gray and blue look together. It's really fun, right? A few days later, no joke, they sent me, I'll show you the full skein. It's a little messy, this skein. My ball winder's not great. But they sent me 2 skeins of this. It is Aran weight. It's a merino cashmere nylon blend. I am so grateful and thankful, and just thank you girls for doing this for me. This is the first time anyone's kind of done that. Not to say that, oh, it's the first time, not gonna be the last, like, not that, but, you know, like, this is really, really special, that they did this. And there's some blacks, some grays, it gets this, like, mucky green in there, too, and then the blue and the yellow, and they hit the nail on the head with this yarn. Super beautiful. They kind of asked me, they're like, what do you think name-wise? And I was like, well, here's the deal. Immediately, which happens a lot with me, like sometimes I'll just have this, it just like comes at me like a flash, like this is what the design's going to be, this is what the pattern's going to be, you know, it all just comes at once. So immediately when I saw the yarn, I went, it's very like, it's urban to me, very train like subway. So I and they're 7th floor yarns. Immediately the pattern came to me on the 7, like J-Lo on the 6, on the 7, so the 7 train, which is in Queens. So, and then I was thinking of names, and the name Train Congestion came up, and so that's what we, as far as I know, have named it Train Congestion. Now, I'm gonna get into my pattern. Let's just put it that way. This one has really tested me. I am, you know, again, I love, I dropped a stitch. Oh God. There we go. 1 second, let me just get that back on because I don't want to mess that up. Luckily, it's not in any brioche. So when I knew what I kind of wanted when I went into the pattern. I had an idea to go with brioche. I wanted an I-cord to start with. And when I was playing around with it, it's also got some cabling, and I knitted up, and I was lifelining to begin with. Like, I always lifeline when I'm designing, you know, at some point at least, when I know that, oh, I'm getting a little tricky, let's lifeline. So this is now it's my 4th or 5th attempt at starting this cowl. I've been averted to swatching with it. I don't know. It's just swatching in the round, such a pain, and I'd rather just jump into it. And maybe I should have with this pattern. I think that's definitely right. Oh, and I'm gonna get to some of that too. This is gonna be a long video, y'all. But, so this is my latest attempt. I'm gonna show it to you, but I am gonna be ripping this back to the I-cord. So this is where I'm at. As you can see, we're having an issue. My I-cord is rolling. That's because in every other incarnation of this pattern, I have started with a few rows of brioche and then gone into the pattern that I've been working on. And I decided with this time, I was like, I don't want to have to brioche to begin with. I think I could just jump into the cable. So I have a cable there that is pulling up from my I-cord. Real cute, right? Pretty much a novice mistake, right? But if you know, if you've seen anything previous about me, you know that I'm a newer knitter. And I'm even newer designer. And so there are things like this that come up that I was like, oh, that's what happens there. And I learned from my mistakes. I would never release a pattern that does something like that, obviously. But I am gonna have to rip this back and go for my 5th or 6th attempt. But look at how beautiful it knits up. It is a really fun speckle. I guess I've been into speckles, big chunky speckles lately. That's kind of fun, right? So the yarn feels beautiful. I mean, you would think there's more cashmere in it than there is. And it's going to be a really beautiful cowl in the end. So I'm really excited to get that out there. It may take a little longer than I planned, but things take time, and I don't want to put out a bad product. Kind of talk, y'all. I don't want to put out a bad. I don't want to put out a bad product. I would like to put out a good product. There we are. Okay, so next up, I'm just going to kind of talk about some of my adventures as of late. If you saw my Instagram, or if you watched New York One, you may have seen that I have been helping out with Brooklyn Boy Knits Lewis, and helping teach students to knit. There was a big event this past Friday that we taught, I think, around 300 kids how to knit. It was insane, and we've been building up to it for a while with the Brooklyn Boy Knit sessions that we've also been doing at the school. They've been happening every few Saturdays. I think it's like every other Saturday, basically, where all you do is you pay $25 and you get needles and yarn, and we will teach you how to knit. You know, we're as teachers, we're not getting paid. It's volunteer at this point. And you know, anyone's welcome. That $25 gets you into all the rest of the sessions for the season. And it's been really incredible. Been really grateful to Lewis for letting me be a part of that. And I've been going every time, and I've had some incredible students. Bella, I've posted a lot about. She came back after the first week already with a full headband, because her mom's also a knitter, so that does help. But it's funny because her mom, like, she won't listen to her mom. She'll only, like, she'll listen to me when I tell her, oh, you need to, you know, have your tension a little better, blah, blah, blah. Her mom will say it and she will not listen. So it's been really funny. I was exactly the same way as a kid. Sorry, Mom. And it was really fun. So I got to, I had asked Christy Glass to come, so I think Christy Glass is going to be doing a piece on it. You might see a video on that soon, on the event. And New York One also did a big piece on it that night, which I was in, which was really cool. Josh Bennett was there to name drop. Josh Bennett was there, and I got to meet Felicia of String Thing, and I got to see Rebecca Keppelson of Clinton L. Cashmere again. I hadn't seen her in a while. And some of my knit friends, Juan and Mary, were there too. And it was a really crazy day. I had a group for the actual big event. I had like 6 boys and 4 or 5 girls in my group. And it was me and a teacher trying to teach them. I will say it was a little bit of a struggle. They all needed individualized attention in the end. I think that was the thing, is that, like, I had to come around to each of them and just, like, sit there and go, like, this is what you need to do. Given, you know, it was a very limited space, so we had, so we were in the gym, like, on the floor teaching them. It was really great to be able to do that, but, you know, with so many kids, and I'm not 100% positive on this because the teacher just said it to me quickly at the end, but I think I did have a special needs group that I was trying to teach. If anything, they were just, you know, they had, you know, some sort of, like, attention disorders or something like that. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't too, you know, difficult. But in that environment, it was very difficult to teach them. I did have 3 or 4 of those kids that were really interested. And I think the plan is to, when we come back, is to, you know, have smaller groups, which would be really awesome. Also, I think we have 2 or 3 more Saturday knitting sessions planned before we go on a break for the summer. And then in the fall, we'll come back with the beginner courses as well, but we're also, Lewis is also planning on having workshops and intermediate and expert courses as well. I'll probably teach a brioche class or a workshop. I'll probably do, you know, it's coming up, but I do plan on offering courses or, like, starting to teach a little bit. But for me, it's, you know, being a newer knitter, and there are things that I'm definitely not an expert at. But from my, you know, my work as an actor and some of my other work that I've done, I'm really good with kids. So I think the first course that I plan on offering is going to be a course, you know, working through the details exactly, but I would like it to be where, you know, I have yarn stores that would, you know, support this, and I would go into the yarn store and we would have one student who is a child or, you know, younger, you know, maybe not super young, but somewhere around, like, 8 or 9 to maybe 14, 15. And it would be one student of that age to at least one adult. The adult could be a little more, you know, could be a knitter themselves, doesn't have to be. And, you know, maybe it's like a grandparent as well, maybe it's a couple, but, you know, a guardian and a child at least. And I would, you know, come in, we would get some bulky yarn from the yarn store, you know, I jumped right in. When I started with knitting, I jumped right into the better stuff, like the nicer yarn. So I think that's really fun and cool, because in the end, your product's going to be that much more beautiful just because the yarn is stunning. And your talent, I guess. But, so that's the model I'm working with. I would love to offer that course. So if anyone is watching this and wants to bring me in to start that off, I would be so grateful to start working with someone to do that. But that is my, that's my first course of attack, in teaching. You know, some of my acting gigs, I'll just go through a few. You know, I've worked on the North Pole Express for multiple years, which is in Essex, Connecticut. Every Christmas season, they're a huge event. They sell out every season in, like, September. And, you know, I think the last year I worked was not this past Christmas, the year before, and it was like 57,000 tickets were sold. and basically I would do it's one performer to like 74 people or 30, you know, depending if you're a first class or second class car, or coach car, I should say. And we just, you know, it's a little bit of a performance, but it's mainly interacting with the kids. It's a little bit like being a teacher. So I've had a lot of experience with that on one-on-one with children and, you know, some sort of educational-ish environment. I've done a lot of children's theater. I'm very good with kids, so it's been really grateful. I've been really grateful to have Lewis and Brooklyn Boy Knits to bring me into this environment where we're teaching, you know, primarily, you know, younger audiences, you know, younger kids to teach and to knit. And, you know, it's helping our younger generation to, you know, learn in it, and maybe they fall in love with it, maybe they don't. But at the very least, it's a calming thing for them in that moment, and it's another creative outlet that they can have. In schools, you may not know, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people probably know, the arts programs are diminishing, and there's more focus on sports, which I think is really, you know, it's a big issue. In schools, like, if I didn't have, like, my arts magnet school, even in, like, my regular school, if I didn't have my performance and all of my, you know, band and all that kind of, in chorus and all that stuff, like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, and I'm so grateful for that. So it hurts me a little that they're cutting that in schools, but what it does allow is it allows for the LYSs, the local yarn shops, the, you know, the smaller businesses to essentially privatize that. And we can then work together on bringing youth classes into the stores. So that's my concept I'm working with, which is really fun, and I hope people are into it. Let me know. I have a little bit more yarn to show that I want to get into, because I said I was going to bring up Alex Creates, and I am. So Alex and I have been talking for a bit. I met him really briefly at Vogue, but, you know, through Instagram we've had some back and forth, and then he came to the Brooklyn Boy Knit session on Saturday to help teach, which was really cool to finally, like, hang out with him in person. And, you know, we're gonna hang out even more on Sunday when we go to Knit. But I do want to show the yarn that I did buy from him a little while back. It's the Rock Candy colorway. These white tags, y'all. Come on. No, it's not you, it's me. My lighting is really bright and right there. I think it makes me look good, but it makes this stuff look bad. So if you don't know Alex Creates, he's really incredible. He's young, has his own business doing this. He just moved into a space with it. This is his Auskar, I don't know how to pronounce that, base. It's 92% superwash, 8% Lurex. It's a very interesting feel to this yarn. It doesn't feel like anything I've ever worked with. It almost feels like a cotton, I would say, or a linen, but it's not. It's because of the sparkle. There is sparkle in there. I hope you get a good depiction of this right now. It has been caked up. I did swatch with this actually for a project when I was working in Vulcanion. I was, you know, trying to find projects for myself. Now I have too many, but so I'm gonna get to this again soon. I'm showing this as well on the show to be like, maybe I'll work on it now. Again, Rock Candy, 400 yards, 115 grams. It's a 4-ply. Really loved working with it when I swatched, and I'm really excited to knit something with it. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of a looser cowl, and I might actually, this weekend, I'm thinking about bringing this with me in case he doesn't have this anymore, and finding something to match. So I have 2 skeins, and I can do something sort of like an infinity scarf, and I want to do it for my mom for her birthday. She watches this, so she's gonna see that. That's what I'm thinking. Mom, what do you think? Do you like it? Is that a good idea? What do you think? Isn't it good? It's one of my favorite things that Karen from Doing It always does. Isn't that good? Is it good? What do you think? Is it good? So really happy to support Alex. Y'all should support him too. He has some really cool projects. He does everything. Weave, spin, you know, dye, knit. Really cool guy. Really excited to hang out with him some this weekend. And now I think I'm gonna have a little life section. I think this video is already pretty long. I don't really know because I have emails blocking my time stamp. But I I have been pretty busy trying to get myself active and moving again. You know, through the winter, I do have some seasonal depression, so once it starts to become spring, I start to want to get moving again, and I've been going to the gym a bit. I've only been really biking or running or doing cardio for a reason that I'll talk briefly about here. Because I know Christy's kind of going through something too, Christy last, but I'm in physical therapy for a back injury, and it's not major, it's not anywhere that affects my knitting, but you know, I am doing that a couple times a week, and I usually like to lift at the gym. I like to lift weights, brah. So I've not been able to do that. It's been bugging me, so I finally was like, no, we're gonna figure this out. We are going to at least go to the gym and work out some and just get active again. And it's interesting because it's like I have to fight the urge to just sit and knit all day to go to the gym. Like I have to be like, no, put the knitting down, get your butt to the gym, get some workout in, you'll feel better. And it's true. As much as knitting helps with anxiety and depression, I think hitting the gym is just as good. It may be a struggle to get yourself there, but anyone who goes, you know, the second you get there, you're good, you're happy, you're fine just doing it. Every few days it gets monotonous, but you know, it is what it is. It's doing something for yourself and making yourself feel good. So I've been really happy to get back at that. And I you know, I've talked about it. My main job in New York here is as a background actor for TV and film. You know, I've been Cora in a couple shows. I've worked on Gotham. I've been working on The Deuce a little bit. Oh, I said it. Oh well. There's been a bunch of shows that, you know, happen all the time. But what happens from about April till about June, there's a lull. There may be a few shows that start up, not that many, and it gets a little difficult because, you know, if that's my main source of income, and how that works is it's totally freelance. You mainly book like 1 day of work to 2 or 3 days of work at most at a time. Even when you're core, like it's still kind of at random. So you're kind of at the mercy of what's actually coming in work-wise. So, you know, these next couple months are a lull for that, and it's a little difficult. So I have a lot of time to knit, which is great. And even when I'm on set, I have time to knit. But, you know, it does make these months a little difficult. That said, I'll probably get a lot of pattern writing in and a lot of patterns out there. And one of the main reasons why I've started doing that is I've always, as an actor, looked for a supplemental income. Something that I can do on the side. Or, you know, and I talked about this in Christy Glass too, where it's like I could also, if that takes off in my life, that takes off, that's great. But, you know, my first intention is like, hey, you know, what other talent do I have that I can make some extra money at? And it's really been pattern writing that I found a love for. I'm really happy to do. I'm really happy to send out my patterns. And the people that have knit my patterns, it's been so cool. Like, one of the coolest things in my life is to see other people wearing my stuff. A little emotional. You know, I've been posting about Kai, who knit my ace hat, and, you know, some of my testers and stuff. It's been really great. But, let me take a sip of coffee. I bring it up just because, you know, I'm really happy to get patterns out there, and I really love when people support, you know, other people's work, and y'all support mine. It's been really great, and I've been really grateful for that. So to anyone who's given me yarn to work with, anyone who's bought my patterns, anyone who even just watches this podcast or says nice things, I can't thank you enough. It's really been keeping me going. I've been going through a bit of a depression for the past few months. A lot of it associated with the injury and having to go through physical therapy. It's been a little bit like an emotional therapy as well for me because of the situation that I was in when I had the injury. And I've been, it's been a bit of a journey to get back to myself and get back and moving and doing, you know, this podcast and meeting so many incredible knitters now and having them as friends in my life. I can't thank people enough. So thanks. Oh, I do have to say too, it's a little bit of an upsetting news probably for a lot of you. My roommate Tim is going away for 4 months to work in Nebraska at a theater that I worked with at a few years ago, Post Playhouse. They're really cool, in the middle of Crawford, Nebraska. It's such an incredible area of the country. I have story upon story about working there one summer. This will be his second summer going there, but what it does mean is it's highly likely that Tim is not going to get to finishing his hat, at least yet. That said, the second he gets back here, I'm gonna be, if we don't get another episode out before he goes, because he does leave in just a couple of weeks, and he's still on ribbing, love him to death, we may not get another episode out before the summer, but when he comes back, I will be pushing for him to get that hat done, and he's enjoying knitting, so sorry that it may not happen again till later, but I'm glad that you all have enjoyed the series. I've had a really great time filming it with him. Maybe I'll just at least have him on a podcast with me before we go, and maybe I'll just do like some interview or something. Something fun. Let me know what you think. What would you like to know about Tim? And also let me know what you think about this, about me going back to the long form podcast. I will say I've enjoyed doing it. And it's been really cool to like write it out, you know, what I want to talk about and be a little more organized with how I'm putting this out there. If you're interested in me doing this more instead of the shorter videos, comment below, let me know. I think I still always will be able to throw out those short videos because I can get them up quicker. I can work on them, you know, much faster, especially for like patterns that I write. You know, I like having that so that, say you're on Ravelry, you can just go link, you know, straight to, oh, that's good. I don't know why I haven't been putting the link to my YouTube videos about my patterns in the pattern description. little brain fart there. I should have been doing that the whole time. So, yeah, I do like having that as like oh, you know, this is the pattern, and you're looking at the patterns like, oh, you know, am I interested in knitting this? And then you can just go to my YouTube channel and quickly, within 5 minutes, get what the pattern's about and definitely know if you're interested in knitting it. So I may continue to just do that, at least for my designs, and maybe do this sort of long form stuff maybe every other week. To be honest, I stopped doing it because I didn't have enough to talk about every week, because I do like keeping my pattern writing on the DL, on the secret. I did share a lot today, so you got in on my secret, but my secret work. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Comment below, let me know what you think. With that, thanks for watching this. I think it's like an hour long. What? I spent an hour talking to a camera today? What is this? What is this life? But thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Again, comment below, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And all that jazz. Yeah. Bye. See you next time.